Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the Robot Damashii, or Robot Spirits Full Metal Panic ARX-8 Laevatein. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's only in the manga as far as I can tell. I watched all of the series and it wasn't in there, so I don't know how to pronounce it technically, but you can see how it's spelled if you need to look it up in the title. It's a really cool figure. From what I understand, it is the upgraded version of the Arbalest, which I reviewed not too long ago. So that's right here. We can do a quick side by side. Looks like, I'll call him Lev. Looks like Lev is just a little bit taller, so that's kind of cool. He's a little bulkier for sure. He's definitely taller, almost a whole head taller. So that's really cool, and he's definitely bulkier. And it comes with some pretty cool accessories. He is not superior in every way though, and I'll point that out as I go through the review. But there's just another quick comparison. Of course, we could bulk this guy up just a little bit with the add-on parts, but still this guy's definitely bigger, and he's gonna get even bigger still. And then just so you know for sure, he is almost exactly 5.5 inches tall to the top of his little pointy thing. So there he is, nicely detailed, as is expected. And then he comes with all of this goodness in here. We have tons of parts to look at, so let's do that. The first thing we have is his lambda driver part, which is in his head. The other guy has the fist thingy and then like the wave effects. So this part can go in either way. It's supposed to go in like that according to the directions, kind of back more, but you can flip it around and put it in so it goes up just a little more, but that's up to you. And all you do for that is pop off the back of his head, and then this one goes on. I'll show you really quick. It's kind of a pain in the ass to put these pieces on, to be completely honest. They don't fit as well as I'd like them to, and since they're going on the head, it's kind of hard to hold it still, and you feel like you're going to break stuff. But I haven't broken anything yet. So there's that. So there's his energy effect type of thing. It's really nicely translucent, kind of like a smoky white plastic, so that's pretty cool. We'll leave that off for now though, so it's not in the way. Throw that back on. You can see it's just 3 little square pegs in there. Tabs, if you want to call them tabs, that's fine. So he has that. He's got a ton of little knife parts. We'll get to that in a second. Let's do the shoulder blades, the shoulder pads. So he has a shoulder pad like this for either side. If you remember, Arbalest had the shoulders, they looked similar to this, and then they just kind of opened up. These don't just open up, they get replaced completely when you put on the add-on part. So they have to go on just like that. If I can do it on the camera, that'd be great. So he's got these huge shoulder pads now with these hard points, if you want to call them that, for his guns. You can put those on there, or they just look cool. So that's pretty nifty. And he's got these parts that swivel around. Again, like I said, I haven't seen the manga at all, so I don't know. I might have him posed wrong or something like that, but give me a break. I watched the series at least. But either way, those are really cool, and they bulk him out a whole lot because they're so big. I like them. I guess that's how they're supposed to go. Maybe they're supposed to be more down and then like that. Either way, they are really cool looking, so I do like that a lot. Then he also has these knee pad things, which if you're familiar with the character, he has like knives, geez, oh man, knives that come out of his knees. So you can take those off if you can. And again, everything just tabs in, so it's not too big a deal. Some of them are just a little stiff. So you can peg these in, which are the big knee pads without the knives in them. Okay, so those can go in like that. And then what you can do with these, it just keeps getting better and better, is these pieces come out. That right there comes out, and where's the knife? Hang on. And then you can put the knife in here. So that's pretty nifty. So he's got the knives that pop out of his knee pads. And if you actually want him to be holding the knife, they come, and you get one for either side, by the way. Then if you also want that, he has the ones that actually look like they've already come out that he can hold with his alternate hands. So he's chock full of goodies in his knee region. Let's put the regular knee pads back on though, just so it's a little more easy to handle. And then those just pop in like that and like Not like that. I'm just gonna break this guy, I know it. Come on. Get in there. What the problem is. What the problem is. Wow, what the heck. There we go. I was doing it wrong. Alright, cool. Alright, so then he also has little arms that come out of this part right here. So that part pops out, just like that. Then he has, it does the same thing on either side. If I can get it out of the package, a little arm that is articulated. It has a hinge here, a little hinge there, a hinge there, and I think that's it. Yeah, there's no more in the wrist. So it's a little tiny arm with a little hand on it, and it helps him, maybe it can rotate. Yeah, it rotates like that. And it can help him hold his gun when he's got the gun out, or you can figure out other ways to use it. So that comes out right like that, and he has one for either side. And so it's meant to look like this thing just extended with the hand inside. So that's pretty nifty, pretty cool. Put that back together. This guy has so many little parts. It's pretty impressive for such a small figure. Alright, so then let's look at the alternate hands real quick. He's got a total of 9 hands. So you saw the 2 fist hands on there. Then he has 2 trigger finger hands. Really nicely sculpted, nicely detailed. Then he has 2 knife holding hands. So those could be used for those big knives, I assume. I haven't actually tried it out yet, I just got this guy. Or you can use that to hold the individual knife, just like the one Arbalest had, only this one is solid black, unfortunately. But still, he's got a knife, so you can hold that. He also has 2 open hands, just for some cool posing. Individually sculpted fingies. And lastly, he's got a gun hand, just like Arbalest. I think he might have the exact same hands as Arbalest, at least as far as the posing goes. Let's see. Yeah, pretty much the same. I mean, they're slightly different. This has like kind of like knuckle pad things on there, and it's painted differently and has a little bit of a different sculpt. But as far as posing goes, as far as the grips go, I think they're about the same. So I think we've covered all of the main stuff aside from the gun. He does have a thing on his back, unlike Arbalest where it's hidden. This one pegs in here, and that's how you can use the display stand. It just pegs in like that. He also has the little holders that go back there. So he's got the bigger one that pegs in like that. And he also, maybe it goes the other way. Let's see. Nope, I was right. Then he also has the small one, just like Arbalest. And that goes in like that. So that's pretty nifty. Then he has guns. He's got a shotgun, just like Arbalest, only this one is mucho better. It's mo better. It has the thing like that, the expanding stock. So that's cool, not expanding, whatever, collapsing. It's got the pump that moves again, but it also has a magazine that comes out and you can actually see the round in there. Unfortunately, they didn't paint it, but it's still a pretty cool effect. And it has a peg on it, because you can put that on his back. Well, I think you should be able to, but I'm not sure because the peg's too small. So that's a good question. Maybe it's meant to go on his hip. I didn't look at the directions. I should have, if it tells you, I don't know. So that probably goes on his hip then. Yeah, so there we go. That's cool. The peg's for the bigger guns. That's pretty nifty. And then he can also hold it with that clip like Arbalest when I threw it across the screen, if you saw that review. So this clips on. It should clip on. Let's see if I can do it this time. Like that. Booyah. Only I think I put it on wrong. Either way, it goes on right there, so that's cool. And then he has this super gun, which is quite big and pretty nifty. We'll look at it like unsnap, like this first. And this is the way I prefer it, actually. I think it's much cooler. Get out of here, cat. Get out of here, cat. Alright, so he's got this gun here, which has the double magazine that comes out, and it actually does have the rounds painted in it. Hang on, the cat's coming. Gotta get the cat away. Get away. Alright. Alright, so it has this part here that is kind of like, it's just how it connects as far as I can tell. Stay there. Stop sneaking over here. So that just snaps on for like the shoulder pads. It can peg in there or there. So that's for that, and it has all kinds of different variations of how you can spin it and pose it and do whatever you want to do with it. I think that's all that's for. I couldn't figure out any other ways for it to be used, so that's what that is. So that's pretty cool. It's just like a big gun, really neat looking. And then he also has this part, which adds on to this gun, so it snaps on. Which way are we doing it? Like this. So it snaps on there, and then this part folds out and spins. And it kind of latches into place. Doesn't work as well as I'd like though. I wish it latched a little bit better. I can't get it to latch even sometimes. So it stays kind of cockeyed a little bit. Every once in a while I get it to stay where I want it to, but then it doesn't want to go the next time. So I don't know what the trick is for that. But either way, this part folds out, and then there's a little thingy in here which is like a handle. So that's pretty cool. And then this part right here, these little hands can hold on to that. Get that out of the way. So those can grab into there so he can hold his gun better, which is pretty cool. And I think that's for the other one of those, for going across his chest. So it's pretty nifty. I mean, look at the size of the gun compared to the guy. I mean, if you're a Gundam collector, you know they always have big guns. I know this isn't a Gundam, by the way, but it's still a mech. So they have big guns, and so this one's even bigger than he is. He can hold it. I don't know if this actually serves a purpose once it's already out. If somebody knows, you can let me know, but I don't know. So whatever. But he can, either way, he can hold it pretty well considering how big it is. It's kind of a pain in the butt to get him to hold it well, but it does work. So take my word for that. So I think that's it for the accessories. Let's look at the actual figure. I'm going to take the big shoulder pads off because they are too big for the purpose of going over the articulation. Put these little ones back on, and we are ready to go. Alright, so the head is on a ball peg, so pretty good range of motion. It is limited when it has to look up because of the shape of the head and the shape of the back. Can't look up as well as I'd like, but it does look around pretty well. You can cock the head from side to side to give it some character. Really, I'm not going to complain about that. It looks pretty darn good. You might even be able to pull it out a little bit, though be careful, do that at your own risk, and give them a little bit better articulation. The shoulders, I'm pretty sure, and I talked to somebody who's taken one of these apart, so I'm still not 100% sure because it's hard to describe some of these pieces through text, but as far as I can tell, the shoulder for the arm itself, there's a ball peg that goes straight through this part and ball pegs into the main part of the torso. So that's like a standard ball peg. It has really good range of motion though, especially if we bring the arm out, you can really get some good movement out of that. So that goes through this piece, and on Arbalest this piece actually rotated and moved around. On this one it can't. I don't know if you can see in there, but there's like a tab, a peg type thing holding this in place, so this can't rotate on this figure. It does have a little bit of play in it because it's on like its own separate ball peg, but it doesn't have a huge range of motion because it's pretty limited. So the shoulders are similar, but again, not quite as good as Arbalest. The ball peg part's the same, but when it comes to the shoulder itself, you see how there's the piece that comes out of the body, and then there's a piece that goes up to the shoulder pad? That's all one piece. And then the arm moves on that metal piece, that little rivet. That's how the arm moves. Then the shoulder pad just moves on its own hinge. So it's very similar, and especially in terms of practicality, very similar to the Arbalest, but it's not quite as useful, not quite as effective. Still pretty good though on the arm. I mean, it has pretty much the full range of motion still. There is a bicep swivel right there, double jointed elbow, and then the wrists are ball pegs just like before, so that's cool. Now the torso, again, I talked to my buddy about this. He wants me to call him the Wizard. I refuse to do that. So there you go, take that, Lalem. So anyway, I talked to him about the torso, and without taking it apart myself, I'm still not 100% sure what he's trying to tell me. But just like Arbalest, there's a combination of ball joints and hinges. So what there is, at least as far as I can tell without taking it apart, is there's a ball peg underneath this piece right here. So where it connects into where it's white right there. It allows for swiveling and leaning and basically tiny range of motion, but it is a ball peg. Then you can see the hinge right in there, right in between these two black pieces. So there's a hinge there, and that ball pegs in I don't know if you can see, but the hinge that's connected to this part ball pegs into this piece. This is on its own hinge, this white piece. And then as far as I can tell, there's another hinge above, and I can't really get in there to see it, but between this piece and this piece, I believe there's either a hinge or a ball peg. I think maybe both. Maybe it's just a ball peg, I'm not sure. But either way, you pretty much get as much range of motion as you could want with one of these guys. So that's pretty cool. He is a little floppy in the upper torso, but it's not horrible, so that's okay. The hips are just like Arbalest, just like SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z figures, if you're familiar with those. It's a ball peg that's on a hinge, so you can put it up like that to make it look nice and crisp, or you can pull it down and then use it to give him a really good range of motion. So that's pretty nice, I love that. And it goes out to the side pretty well too. And then there is a thigh swivel, and you would think it's limited because it's hitting this piece right here, this little hip piece, which is on like a ball peg. But you can move that out of the way, and then the thigh still doesn't rotate, and that's because they put like a block in there so that you couldn't spin it too far and pop this piece off. So there is a thigh swivel, but it is pretty limited. Double jointed knees, just like Arbalest. It's really clean looking, even though he doesn't have the floating knee pad. So I do like that, especially the way it covers up almost completely when it's extended, so that's pretty nifty. And then the ankles are pretty much the same as Arbalest, I think. There is, at the top of the ankle, an ankle rocker, and it goes forward and back, a hinge as well. And this piece is connected to that. You can see how I'm unpegging it. Don't unpeg it. See that little peg in there? Leave that in there. But the white ankle piece is connected to that top part of the ankle. And then the lower part of the ankle also has its own rocker. It actually has a double rocker. So you can really get some good posing out of that. And then the toe is hinged. So really, really well articulated. I don't know if I mentioned this for Arbalest, but it does also rotate, and that is the same. One thing you might want to notice, when you hear that noise, that's not good. That you think it's just a tight joint, and it is, but you don't want to leave it like that. Get some, for like RC cars, shock oil. Get some of that and put that in there just a tiny bit, and lubricate that so that when you hear that noise, you don't hear that noise anymore. Because what that is eventually it's going to cause the plastic to shred, and you don't want that. Alright, and then lastly, he has these little butt flaps that are articulated as well. So pretty good range of motion on all the joints. Even the parts that aren't as well done as Arbalest, they're still pretty darn well done. So I do definitely recommend this guy, and he comes with a cool bunch of stuff. He's nice and beefy, and he's a very cool figure, and this turned out to be a very long review, but I think it's well worth it if you care about the technical stuff of the figure. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. In the meantime, keep collecting.